quite horrific. But if we don't know about it, what can we do to stop it and to change it? I spoke to Arizona Wilder in Los Angeles, and this is what she had to say.
Well, Arizona, can we start at the beginning, and can you tell us the story of what's happened in your life from the very start?
Okay, what I can tell you is that before I started looking into my life, back in 1989, I was starting to have flashes of things, and my life was not what it seemed to be, which is why I started looking into it. The Aryans, and the purity of the blood, and what it's all about is that the blood and the menstrual blood contains something that is important for the propagation of this race that is controlling things on this planet. They're called the Illuminati, and the Illuminati are actually run by these 13 bloodlines, which are all of the royal families in Europe and in England, and they need the blood because they are, in fact, not human. They take human shape. They are reptilians, and they need the blood. The blood helps them maintain their reptilian shape, and it helps them maintain their sanity, and it helps them to live in this world because they are not from this world. But what they need is, for it to be secreted in the blood, is they need terrorization of their victims before they are killed for their blood. And they have to terrorize them to get this to come out in the blood and be secreted in the blood. They are killed at that moment as they are staring into their eyes, and not only they can't hold their shape when this happens. The
human shape.
The human shape they cannot hold. They go back into reptilian shape as this is happening, because it's like an animalistic type of excitement. Oftentimes they will just rip into the victim and eviscerate them and start eating the flesh of this person too, and the fat from the intestinal area is highly valued, as they use it on their skin. And they drink the blood, and the blood is highly sought after, and it goes according also to rank within these creatures.
Why it's increased since the ages?
So there are changes going on in the earth. It seems they're not able to hold their shape like they once were able to, and people see them shapeshift more and more, and they need the blood to try and maintain it, to try and maintain their human form. I believe there's a time coming that because of what I've been told, when they are not going to bother having to hold that human shape as they had to before, and they want that time to come. It's then about 4,000 years ago, the reptilians arrived here and again began to take over, and they instilled themselves in different places underground in the earth, and also this one part of them, the ruling part, took over and became involved in the politics and in the religion, and started controlling through these means at that point in time. Reptilian that come from another dimension, they actually they materialize from out of another dimension and are present at rituals, and they are so powerful, and their presence is there's such an evilness about them, and they want out of this other dimension. Old ones are called out, and they are what Christianity would have called the demons.
Is this symbolism of the abyss anything to do with the fact that these reptilian demons of another dimension are somehow locked in a time-space prison, and they can't get out, and they can only get out when they're brought out in that way?
Yes, they want out of that dimension. They have been thrown into that dimension, and they can't leave that dimension. And that's actually what the abyss is about, is being in a different dimension. It's like something to do with the fourth dimension.
So take us through one of these rituals that you conducted at the highest level of this global brotherhood. What would happen?
And then they have these children that they're kidnapping and bringing in from other countries, and no one misses them because these are third world countries. And children they have the most energy, the purest energy, they're the highest form of sacrifice. They are used as actual blood sacrifices during these rituals because of, again, reptilians needing their blood. The blood will be gathered in a goblet, and it will be dispersed among the reptilians.
Are these rituals rare? I mean, how many are there that, say, go on a year? I mean, we talking hundreds or thousands?
There are things happening every month of the year.
What happens on the night of Halloween?
That night is about the worship and homage to Satan, the great deceiver Satan, on that night, on Halloween, at this church.
You've conducted them in Europe and the United States. Can we start with the United States?
Yes, I have seen at rituals, I have seen George Bush, I have seen Madeleine Albright, I have seen Henry Kissinger, I have seen Ronald Reagan, and I have also, by the way, seen his wife, Nancy Reagan. I have seen Hillary Clinton before I knew she was Hillary Clinton at the time. At these rituals, she is involved. The other people that I have named I have seen shapeshift into reptilians. J. Rockefeller, and he shapeshifts. These people seem to all be connected to the Illuminati. Gerald Ford, I have seen shapeshift. Dr. Joseph Mengele, who took me around to these rituals a lot of the time, was also a shapeshifter. There are people in the European countries that I've seen shapeshift and be involved. The Queen there, I've seen Princess Margaret there, I've seen Charles there, and they shapeshift. I have seen Tony Blair there, and he shapeshifts. They all have their quirks as to how they act, even in their reptilian form. Someone who's been talking about around this subject, and it seems to be popular right now.
Who's that?
This man by the last name of Sitchin. I've seen at rituals, and he is a shapeshifter.
What do you remember about Zecharia Sitchin?
Zecharia Sitchin was someone in the rituals attending the rituals who was not a major player in as far as the rituals went, but was someone that others present did not make remarks that are very careful as to what they said around him. And he was talking about, he would be talking about doing away with people, persons that were in his way or were putting out information that he didn't feel that he wanted put out. He is very much a disinformer, and that is his job, to disinform about what is going on with the Illuminati and with the reptilians.
He actually warned me off from investigating the reptilians, interestingly.
There are eggs. It's like a nest of eggs kept down in that part where it's warm. It's very warm down there into this entrance. And these eggs are kept down there incubating. And they are the reptiles' eggs.
What have you seen the royal family do, the Queen Mother, and the other people you've seen in the rituals? What have you seen them do?
I've seen all of them drink human blood and consume human flesh, and they have their own goblets in which they have blood, and these goblets are encrusted with jewels, and they also have their own daggers, and that the dagger goes into the goblet. Wear these robes, but they don't wear anything underneath the robes, because what is going to happen, what the rituals are all about, they're going to shapeshift, and they can't have anything on under the robes. And there are orgy kind of things that go on at the rituals also. And
involving the royal family of Britain?
Yes, involving the royal family of Britain, and the sacrifice and the eating of, consuming the sacrifice, and they are involved in that.
You've seen them do that?
Yes, I have seen them do that.
People in Britain, listening to what you're saying, would obviously be staggered, I guess anywhere in the world, but what would stagger them mostly is, in Britain, the Queen Mother has an image of being the nation's grandmother. The nice old lady, and good old Queen Mum, what a lovely lady. What's your experience of the Queen Mother?
She is very cold in reality, and she is very cruel. She obviously, from what I see, enjoys consuming human flesh. It's sickening.
Do they go into a different state in terms of age and strength and all these other attributes when they actually shapeshift?
Yes, the human body that they choose to occupy or take when it was young, it ages, but when they take the reptilian form, these reptilians live hundreds of years, and so they have to have taken more than one human body to live in. A lot of them are much, much older, and I'm including the Queen Mother in this, older than people think that she is. She's been in more than one body, human form. And when the time comes, if it is time for her to go on, and it has been chosen that she still has, it's known that she still has life or years to go, again, she will be put into the body. The essence of her and the reptilian form will go, or the essence of her will go into another body that is also has the ability to shapeshift into reptilian form.
One of the pure reptilian human bloodlines.
Yes.
What happens when, take the Queen Mother as an example, what happens when they shapeshift? I mean, what do you see?
You start to see changes happen, and they're happening so fast that it's almost, it's the closest thing that I've seen to it is what they're now doing with computer technology. It's just a literal transformation that happens very quickly, and they get taller and they get bigger, and they don't look at all as reptilians like they do as humans, and thus the wearing of the robes, because if they were in clothes, the clothes would be torn apart.
So let's take the Queen Mother on this subject as an example. We recognize her as a frail old lady. What does she look like when she shapeshifts at these rituals?
She has, she looks like, the nose portion gets very much longer, and it grows into kind of a snout kind of thing. She has little fangs, and incisors as teeth, and there's a tongue. They all seem to have this kind of tongue when they're at this level. The tongue has a lot of long, hairy or pointed projections coming out of it. It's very long, and they have these. They don't have hands or feet. They have these claws, and they have scales, and also scales that seem to kind of disappear into one another, but it's more pronounced on the back. There seem to be lumps or protrusions coming from the head. There seem to be some kind of growth appendages at where, on the back, and they seem folded, and not all of them have that. And there is a tail, and they a lot of times will keep the tail curled, and and I've seen her when she's very displeased with something, as I've seen other members like this. This tail is whipped around, very agitated, and they do, and she hisses.
What color are they?
Which one in particular?
Take the Queen Mother as an example.
She's kind of a beige color on the underside, and by the time you're going up around to the back and the tail and the top of the head and on top of the nose, snout, whatever, it's coming to a very, they're dark speckles or large speckles of dark browns. And the eyes, usually, they're large, they look like, they're very round, and they look like they're coming out of their sockets, and very protruding, and usually the color ranges from a beige to a gold to a dark greenish gold, and then there's this dark slit up and down, a vertical slit, and and the eyes will look hooded, and when they look hooded, it's a very frightening thing, because it seems that when the eyes are hooded, they're about to do something.
What do you mean by hooded?
The lids come down, and it's almost, I guess it would be the same thing in a human as an expression of someone's got an idea.
And how tall are they when they shapeshift?
They're just about 7 feet tall. Some are a little shorter, or to a foot shorter. Some are a little bit taller than 7 feet.
What is it about the rituals that allow the shapeshifting to happen?
when the victims are starting to be sacrificed, it's the scent of the blood, and they start shape-shifting at that point in time, and they can hardly wait to get to the blood. It's like they're addicted to the blood, and then the consumption of human flesh that follows.
What have you seen the Queen or any of the royal family do in relation to that? Have you seen them sacrifice and consume human flesh?
There are certain times when they will actually do a sacrifice, or there will have been someone doing a sacrifice, and it's not happening fast enough for them. So they will step in and finish it themselves, because the sacrifice the ritual has to be gone through. It's sacrificially, ritualistically, it has to have been gone through, and they will step right in and just start tearing the throat out, and they're getting all this blood from the jugular vein at the same time, and that has happened when there are many there that are going to be sacrificed, and they just can't wait, and tearing into the contents of the abdomen and stomach of a victim afterwards.
Who have you seen do that?
I've seen the Queen Mother do that, and Prince Philip and Charles. I've seen Guy de Rothschild do this. It seems that I've seen it more among royalty, or so-called royalty, do this than people that are not titled. That they don't seem to. They seem like it feels like they don't dare, but they shapeshift nonetheless. But it's like the royals that step in and just start tearing away as they can hardly wait.
How long can they hold the reptilian form in these occasions?
During the rituals, it's much easier for them to hold their reptilian form. They can stay in that form. What it is that they have a hard time holding their human form. And as long as they're around blood and the scent of blood, they can't hold human form.
Was there any way, when Diana was married to Charles, without attending a blood ritual, that she could have seen him or one of the others become a reptile?
They have a tendency when they're asleep to shapeshift, and they have to consciously hold their form, and when they're asleep, they have a tendency to not hold human form and to shapeshift into reptilian. That scent of blood would tend to cause a momentary shapeshift.